It was all started by a mouse.
Warning, meteor shower in range.
This is where the early planning is taking place for our so-called Disney World project.
Your vehicle is rotating backwards for your return to Earth.
WDW Radio, your information station.
50 years from now, someone's going to open a time capsule that we sealed, and everything they'll ever know about Walt Disney World in 2026 is inside of it. And today we're going to fill that box with one attraction, one resort, one song, one snack, one smell, one price, more than a dozen questions, and they're not as easy as they sound. This isn't a greatest hits list. It's Walt Disney World exactly as it exists right now for someone who'll only ever know it as history. And stay with me to the end, because the very last thing that goes into the box isn't an object at all. And I'm going to want to know, what would you put in this time capsule? Hello, my friend, and welcome to WDW Radio, your guide to the Disney parks and experiences around the world. I am Lou Mongello, and this is show number 874. Whether this is your first time listening or you've been with me since the very beginning, welcome home and welcome back. And wherever you are, I'm grateful that you're here. And at the end of this week's episode, I'm going to ask you to help us fill up the box. And I'd love to hear and talk about some of your answers on this week's WDW Radio live show, this and every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to my free weekly email newsletter over at WDWRadio.com. And let's talk about this more over in the Clubhouse at WDWRadio.com/Clubhouse. You can also find, chat, and connect with me over on social. I am Lou Mongello on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And when today has you thinking about your next Disney trip, and I think it will, please visit my friends over at mousefantravel.com. Their expert planners handle every detail at no additional cost to you, so you can spend less time planning and more time looking forward to the memories and the meals. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. Picture this. It is the year 2076, and a crew in whatever a hard hat looks like 50 years from now is digging in front of a Walt Disney World resort, and the shovel hits metal, and they pull up this sealed capsule with a plaque on the lid, and inside it is us. This year, this exact version of the most magical place on Earth. But what did we choose to leave them? Because here's the thing about Walt Disney World. It's never finished, right? Walt said it himself, and it's been true every single day, not just in Disneyland, but in Walt Disney World since 1971. And the park that we love right here, right now, the one with the snacks and the sounds and the shows and the smells that feel permanent, is turning into history while we're in it. And if you ever needed proof that now is the time, now is the best time to be a Disney fan, you have to think about it this way. Someday, someone is going to wish they had been here for exactly this moment. So today we're going to leave them something. We're going to build a Walt Disney World time capsule. And it's not a favorites list. It's this metaphorical sealed box that somebody's going to dig up decades from now. And we have to decide, including you, what's going to go in it to represent Walt Disney World exactly as it is today. So we're going to go category by category with an attraction, a resort, a song, a snack, a smell, a sound, a souvenir, a tradition, whatever it might be. Maybe a couple of curveballs along the way. And then maybe the hardest one of all, we're going to save till the very end. And we're going to have one pick and one item each. I'm going to try not to have too many honorable mentions in this list. And I think the hard part isn't what we choose. It's what we're going to choose to leave out. And of course, I cannot do this alone. And joining me is somebody who knows Disney history as well as anyone I know, and I think also has a soft spot for some of the roads Disney does not take. You may remember her from our deep dives into the unbuilt Disney parks back on show 558, the MGM backlot that never was in show 589, Tomorrowland's past, present, and future, on show 667 and 668, the 10 most influential win in Disney history back on show 775 and more. Kendall Foreman, welcome back to the show.
I'm so glad to be back. It's been a long time. I'm feeling a bit rusty.
It is, and that's all my fault, and I sincerely apologize. It's not you, it's me. I never get to say that to a girl, so this is the first time ever I'm able to say it. And look, to peel back the curtain a little bit, we were just talking about this before we started recording. This idea literally came to me over the weekend, and as I thought on it a little bit, I got really excited. Not very long thereafter, I messaged Kendall, and I was like, so, what are you doing on Monday? Like, people ask me all the time, like, how far in advance do you plan and record your shows? Like, is it months? I'm like, oh no, this is often how it really happens. And I really, as soon as this idea came to me, I really wanted you to be in this chair for this one, because I think based on our prior conversations, I think you sometimes, like me, like think about the things that Walt Disney holds onto and some of what it lets go of, and what is and what was and what could have been, both the memories and the possibilities. And I think that's going to be a little bit of sort of the tension of this episode. There is going to be one rule that we're going to have to follow, and I promise I'll get into it second. But I do want to sort of go back a little bit too, because we are not the first people to look into this. Disney has been burying time capsules for decades. And I think, Kendall, this is interesting because I think what's inside the time capsule tells us everything about why the box we're building actually matters.
Yeah, I mean, to me, a time capsule does, I mean, when you choose something to go in it, it does kind of one of two things, right? Like, it's either a snapshot in time that you want to preserve for someone in the future, or I think there's also sometimes things people put in there because they are just so quirky. Like, it is such of a time that maybe those people in the future just aren't going to believe that this is a thing that happened, or this was what we saw that was important at that point in time. And so I hope my list reflects that. That's what I tried to quickly think out after you gave me this. And I'll admit, as soon as you sent me the idea and you said, what are you doing tomorrow? I had to judge really quick on the fly. Is he joking or is he serious? But also, I right away was like, I have to find time to do this because I love this idea. And if I don't do it, he's going to ask someone else. So I was very excited, and my brain immediately started working on what is a time capsule and what is, the most important or most iconic or most of a time thing that I can pick in each of these categories.
Well, one, I apologize and I thank you. I promise to try and be better and think about these things with a little bit longer of a runway. But, as I was thinking about this, and I was like, oh, did I ever do this before? And I was like, no. I was like, I've never done this before, but Disney has, right? So back in 1995, for Disneyland's 40th anniversary, they buried a time capsule right in front of Sleeping Beauty Castle. It was shaped like the castle itself, so it earned the nickname the Time Castle. And it was dedicated to, and I dig this line, the children of the 21st century. And it gets opened on July 17th, 2035, which is going to be the park's 80th birthday. And there's name tags and Indiana Jones opening day memorabilia, which I would love to get my hands on, a hand-painted cell of the Fab Five. And one of the name tags reads Mickey, and there's also a pay stub in there from the Disney company for Mickey Mouse. They also did one over at Disney California Adventure in 2012 underneath Buena Vista Street. That gets opened in 2037. And here in Walt Disney World, in 1996, they buried one for the 25th anniversary at the Contemporary Resort right in front of the flagpoles. And they opened it on the October 25th, 2021. And the cast members who were there who were celebrating their own 50-year anniversaries. And there was an ID card for Mickey Mouse, a cast member magazine. I don't know if I love the idea that they had a picture of the castle as the birthday cake. I still have PTSD from it.
Oh, I love the birthday cake.
I have personal sad memories, which I'll probably never share the story of. It doesn't matter. It's fine. There is a calendar, Spectrum Magic. Like, there was no Animal Kingdom, right? Hollywood Studios was still MGM Studios. And then they also did one at Disney's Animal Kingdom on Earth Day, 1998. They opened it in 2023. And inside, and I mentioned this specifically because I think this is part of the fun part of the time capsule. There were 2 floppy disks that nobody's able to read anymore. A couple of VHS tapes. You have to go to like Goodwill and get a VHS player. And there was also Gino, the silverback gorilla's first toothbrush.
Oh, wow.
So when you said quirky, I'm like, oh,
that's quirky, but that's crazy.
And it's funny about the floppy disks. Like, we always think that we're saving something for the future and don't always stop to think whether the future is going to have the tools to open it. Like somebody's going to open this and be like, what is this little plastic thing? But, and again, this even goes back to the, Walt and the World's Fair. And I dig that. And the point really is that Disney's always understood that today is tomorrow's history. It's the premise of Carousel of Progress, right? So let's stop looking at their capsules. Let's go and build our own. But I said there is one rule, and it's important because it's what's going to sort of help not only keep us honest, but help frame this conversation. We were sort of messaging back and forth. And as you're asking me the questions, I'm like, I don't know. What do I mean by that? Like, think back to that 1996 calendar, right? It froze that moment in time at Walt Disney World. There was no Disney's Animal Kingdom. There was still MGM Studios. That's what we're doing today, right? We're going to try and freeze right now. So the rule is that every pick has to be true of Walt Disney World as it exists today. Not what we miss, not what used to be here. If a stranger walked into Magic Kingdom or Walt Disney World for the first time this morning, would they find it? If the answer is yes, it is fair game. So classics still count as long as it is still standing. The only thing off limits is what is gone. It's a snapshot of today. This is not an all-time greatest hits list. So I think the capsule, the question that the capsule has to answer is, what did Walt Disney World look, sound, smell, feel, taste, and cost like in 2026?
Yeah, and that was hard. Because obviously we all have our favorite things from the past, but it's a time capsule for today. And also I've had like a year since I've been in the park. So I had a couple things I had to check myself on to make sure that they are still there. So yeah, but I'm ready to get started. I'm good.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be the interesting thing too, because when we do have an option and then the first one out of the gate is going to be an indicator of this, we're going to have the option to pick things that are sort of brand new to the parks, but there's also classics that we might feel that has to be represented. So we're going to pick one thing, briefly defend it, maybe challenge each other and see. And we're going to start off with what I think the big one, which is one attraction, like that single ride or show that has to go in the box to tell someone what Walt Disney World is right now. Kendall, not just because you're my guest and friend and ladies first, but I'm so wildly curious to hear what you have to say. So you go first.
I'm glad I get to go first because I'm afraid that we might have ended up with the same choice. But maybe not for the same reason. I think right now, Walt Disney World is in such a position where people have such a desire for nostalgia and preservation, but then there's also this tension of how do we update things for guests who are coming the first time, who maybe, older technology or that nostalgia does not make sense to. And I think there's one attraction that has weathered that tension and those transitions better than any other, and that's the Haunted Mansion. It's still using techniques, Pepper's Ghost from, the 1800s. It's using projection technology. It's using all different levels of audio animatronics, the sound systems, the Omni mover from the middle point in time there. Just so many different things throughout the entire history of Walt Disney World. And also, I just think it's interesting to go back and look at what was the version of the Haunted Mansion when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Like, we had the spider scene. We didn't have the Escher stairways. We had this version of Constance. We didn't, what version of the Hatchet Bride did you have? And so to capture what the Haunted Mansion is in this moment in time, I think would be interesting because I think it will constantly be updated. It's the one attraction that it seems like every generation of Imagineers wants to have a part of. And so what will we see in the future as to what that attraction looks like? Or let me just say, God forbid, in 50 years, this attraction does not exist.
Bite your tongue, woman.
Yeah, then there is a preserved version of the Haunted Mansion so that everyone can see exactly how spectacular it was.
So before I comment, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I struggled with this one and my own rules right off the bat. I was like, Mangello, you just made the rules because I immediately sort of went to a classical classic. And then I was like, wait, does this attraction speak to Walt Disney World today? And then I was sort of going through like, well, what would it be? What should be the thing that represents it? Is it, to your point about like nostalgia, I was like, and change, I was like, is it Rock and Roller Coaster with the Muppets? Like, it's brand new. It replaced an attraction that was there, an iconic attraction that was there for 25 years. Like, it's sort of the whole thesis of this episode. Like, nothing here is permanent. And I'm like, no, it can't be it. And I'm like, is it Guardians? Is it this like one-of-a-kind, reverse launch, super popular attraction that ties into like other IPs, and we're seeing this sort of trend towards synergy, and parks and resorts and movies and TV is all, I think, is going to start to blend a lot more over the next short and long-term period. Like, is it Tiana's? Is it Rise of the Resistant? Like the benchmark of immersive storytelling. And then I narrowed it down to two. And I'm happy you went first because one of them was Haunted Mansion. Because I think you're right.
Happy to take care of that for you.
Yeah, because I think I agree with you 1,000%. I think Mansion represents everything that makes a great Disney attraction and makes a great Disney attraction endure. It's the detailed storytelling and the music and the humor and the rewritability and the practical effects and technology. And I think it's a generational sort of sense of shared memories because everybody in the family can enjoy it. And I think it's also important too, because like you, I think this is one of those attractions that is parenthetically untouchable, right? Should never leave the park ever. And I also think it's important now because it evidences the fact that I think future fans of the parks should understand that one of Disney's greatest attractions did not require an existing movie franchise or IP. Because if you look at all the ones I just mentioned, it was Rock and Roller with the Muppets. I had Tron on the list, Guardians, Tiana's, like Rise of Resistance. They're all tied to the IP. It shows that you can create this original world, invite guests into it, and allow that attraction itself to become the IP itself. So I didn't say it, and thanks to you, we're all able to get like multiple ones in one. Is it Carousel of Progress after the refresh? We have to wait and see. I'm cheating a little bit right off the bat because technically it's closed right now, but it's reopening. And I think the reason why, for a lot of the reasons you mentioned too, I think it's thematically the most perfect time capsule selection. It is this journey through different eras, preserving how people imagine technology and life and progress and the future. It ties to Walt Disney World, and I think that, and it ties to Walt and his belief in optimism and innovation and storytelling and how we can look forward to tomorrow. And I think, and I hope, and I believe that after the refresh, it is going to be that even more. So Carousel of Progress is my one attraction.
It is conceivable, considering how long the other version was in Walt Disney World, that 50 years from now, this new version could still stand.
Right.
It's possible.
Yeah. So, all right. In the interest of time, listen, I could have fun talking about each of these in even deeper detail, but I'm going to try not to go down the rabbit holes too far. So stick with me because going to the theme parks is only half of your Walt Disney World experience. The other half is the resort. It is the place that we stayed and shows how we stayed. So what is your one Walt Disney World resort?
I tried really hard throughout this whole list to not pick anything that was very personal, but this is the one category just because I said something to my husband. I'm like, how do I pick a resort for a time capsule? And he said, well, that's such a personal choice. And I was like, you're right. Like you walk in and the TV says, welcome home, such and such family. So it's your home. What's your home? And my home is the Polynesian Resort.
Nice.
And I think
that's where you're gonna go.
I think it's also fair for a time capsule. It's been there from the beginning. It is still there now. It's drastically different than it was. To see what it is today in comparison to, what 50 years from now will be 100 years in the past. That's wild to think about. And I've loved every version of it. I've stayed there over the course of 4 different decades. And I would stick each one of them in the time capsule for some reason. There's something about it. And for example, my son, he's never seen the atrium version of the Polynesian, but the Polynesian is his home resort. And so I think one of the most captivating things there now is when you walk in and you just have that view all the way through, straight to the back, all the way to the castle. You know, it's home.
I dig it, and it's on sort of my mental honorable mention list because I think it captures a lot of what a Walt Disney World vacation is. I think there's an emotional aspect to it. I think there's something transportive about that, and it shows that great Disney storytelling is not limited to attractions and shows. Like the fact that a resort can create that same sense of escape and anticipation and storytelling, like it belongs on this list. Once again, I was conflicted. Shocker. So I'm going to give you the lawyer answer again because, and I still don't know what my final answer is. Because the one I want to give now, it's sort of a sister resort to the Polynesian. Because the first thing that came to me, and you could just email me because I know what's coming, lou@wdwradio.com, was Disney's Riviera Resort. And I know it is not everybody's favorite, and I get that, but this is a resort. Again, we're trying to capture this moment in time. I
contemplated it
because it's the only, like, it exists in the Skyliner age. Like it shows the resorts we're building now, and it's tied to that Skyliner, I think, which is one of the most today yet like backward looking things that we've added in years. As someone who misses the Skyway buckets from Fantasyland to Tomorrowland, like it's important to explain how we get around the resort using the Skyliner. And I think having that in there helps tell that story, right? Because it is going on the Skyliner is this brand new type of magic. Like when you're going over the water and the treetops in the Skyliner, stay seated, kids. Do not get up on the benches and dance. Like, I think it does. I think it represents this now. But Kendall, I was this close to saying the contemporary resort because I think it's still obviously not just a part of it since the beginning. I think just that sort of the audacious optimism of the original Florida project and the monorail and the sliding in, although not sliding out, of the pre-manufactured rooms, like that alone is such an icon, and it communicates that this resort was never meant to be just another amusement park. It is the future as it was imagined in 1971, and I think it also connects to the overall park experience. But because you had Polynesian, which was an OG resort, I will stick with Disney's Riviera Resort.
Yeah, I think there's an argument for both, and I considered Riviera just because it is, I mean, it was purpose built to be a Disney Vacation Club resort, and right now it is the age of DVC. Like that is right now what the resorts are about.
And I love Riviera. I love the location. I love the Skyliner. I love the food. I love the lot. Like I love the little Voyager's Lounge. Like there's a lot that I really love about the Riviera Resort. But I digress. Kendall, 50 years from now, when someone opens up that box, what is the one song that plays in the capsule when they open it?
It's going to be the same song that's been playing in my head for 50 years. Because the second you hear it, I have a joke here at our house that if this song gets stuck in my head, I turn my iPhone up as loud as I can, because if it's stuck in my head, it has to be stuck in everyone else's. Right. And nothing can stop us now. This is a favorite at our house. I think it deserves to be in there because it is an earworm. It takes seconds to memorize portions of this song and be able to sing along with it. I feel like it is Gen Alpha's song that they are going to be singing decades from now. And also, just those Mickey Mouse cartoons are so of this time, not just animation style and comedy style, but they are so referential to the past that what I was talking about before, that desire for nostalgia, they do that. Like, I've seen so many people write off those cartoons because they don't like the art style, and right. I would say go back and watch them again because there is so much there. They are so funny, so many callbacks to parks history and Disney history. They are great. But because of that, I see them being of this time. And I think that attraction and that song, and also you have to call out the fact that it's Rissy Taylor, her last performance as Minnie Mouse also. So, I mean, because there's a whole new generation of Walt Disney World fans singing it, nothing can stop us now.
So I dig this because it's the first thing that popped into my mind.
Really?
It is. It's the first thing that popped in my mind, but it's not the thing that ended up making my list. Because first of all, I remember when they announced Runaway Railway and Kevin Rafferty told the story about it. He was like, yeah, like nothing, he said, nothing can stop us now to describe like the action in the thing. And the songwriter, I think it was like Chris Willis, was like, that's it. That's the title. And I dig that very sort of positive earworm that really ties the whole experience together. And I was like, no, like it is, but it's not, I'm not sure it's the one that I would put on the list. And then I struggled once again. And again, I'm going to sort of, you have to forgive me because I was bouncing between three different ones. And one of them was One Little Spark because it's Sherman and it's imagination and curiosity. And I know that at some point between now and 50 years from now, that pavilion is going to get updated. We've been saying it for years, but I really think it's going to happen. But it represents that original spirit of EPCOT and that original character that was created for the park. And I think just the messages of it and the character and everything it's tied to. And I'm like, no, like that's not it. I was like, maybe it's Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. It's that optimism and progress and all the things that we talked about why I think Carousel of Progress should be there. And even, when an attraction changes or it disappears or whatever, the philosophy is still so locked into that song because it's not just a theme song. I think it's a statement about how Walt viewed the future and how he wanted us to view the future. But again, this might not be the popular opinion. It's a small world. I know you talk about earworms and it's not necessarily new. The reason why it's a small world is there, and it needs to be there in 2026 and 2076, is because of what it is. I know it's repetitive, but the message is timeless. It's a prayer for peace, right? And I think, who knows what the world is going to look like if it's still here 50 years from now. Like, the differences that we have are real and I get it, but they shouldn't have to prevent us from recognizing just this sense of shared humanity. And that's what Richard and Robert Sherman put into this still timeless and beautiful earworm of a song. So all those years later, I'm going to put in It's a Small World.
My heart loves that choice. I love It's a Small World. And interestingly enough, I've grown to love it more the older I've gotten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like this is way too much. Like sometimes I get weepy when I hear it because I think about the message. I think about, Richard. I think about all these different things. I have never ridden through It's a Small World by myself with tears in my eyes. Let's just move on. Because this next one is the one menu item. Ladies first.
This was hard.
It's impossible. I'm going to tell you right now, I can't do it.
It was hard, but then once I came to the answer, I was like, no, this is obvious. And then I almost was like, is it too obvious?
I bet you we're in the same place.
So I picked Pineapple Dole Whip.
I know it.
Man, we are on the same wavelength tonight. I picked Pineapple Dole Whip because as much as people want to say that it started in Disneyland, it did not. It was developed for Walt Disney World. I just learned the woman's name today as I was looking. Kathy Westfall was a UC Davis graduate. She was hired into the Dole Laboratory. She was charged with coming up with a different fruity dessert for them to serve in Florida because it would get too hot and it would melt too fast, and they were serving just pineapple chunks on vanilla ice cream. at the Dole sponsored stand. And so I love that this is Disney World through and through, that it is. It's like, it's Florida, it's Adventureland in a dish. Like, I love pineapple Dole Whip so much. But also, like, it just has such staying power. Like, what other food, besides, like, popcorn and a Mickey bar, like, what other ones can you buy at, like 3 of the parks, Disney Springs, Typhoon Lagoon? How many resorts have this stuff now? And then it's grown into being, like, how many different flavors? Like, they just debuted peach this week with different stuff on it. It's a float. It's a dessert. It's like, you can get alcohol in it. Like, it's pineapple Dole Whip is everything. Like, it has to be pineapple Dole Whip.
You're right. It's the universal answer. Like, it needs no explanation. It passes everyone. I mean, it's a single rule, but it passes the qualifiers easily. It's simple and recognizable and accessible and tied to the experience of being at Disney. And I think it belongs here because it shows how a simple snack, like, can become a tradition, and this emotional memory and that connector from you when you're home to the place here. So rather than just riding on the Dole Whip train with you, although it's a train I'm very happy to get on, I really had a very, very tough time with this because I'm like, is it a burger? Is it a snack? Is it a Mickey-shaped something? And I was like bouncing around in my head, like literally sort of flying through the parks and resorts in my mind's eye, trying to figure out what it is. And then I was like, well, what's something where you go to a restaurant and you just don't need to look at the menu because you know this is the thing you're going to get? Like, is there a place that you go and you're like, I don't even need to look at the menu because it's this? There's not a lot of places because usually I'm like, I'll have this and this as a snack. So I'm going to stay with you at the Polynesian and put in Tonga toast.
Right away when you said you know what you're ordering there, right. That was where my mind went immediately.
And that's what it is. Like, look, I love my my macadamia nut pancakes and loco moco, but this is like not just a snack. It is this sit down signature cult classic breakfast that is unmistakably Walt Disney World. And for a lot of people, you don't need to go look at the menu. You are going, to that. You're going to Kona or Captain Cook's because you're going there for Tonga toast. Everything else is just like window dressing on top of it. So my answer is going to be Dole Whip. We're going to sort of stay in a bit of the same vein, right? We're talking about things that we experience and that we taste, but we know that our olfactory senses are the ones most closely tied to memory. So what is the one smell? And remember the rule, like, if it's still in the air today, it counts. So what is your one smell, your one scent?
I double checked this today with people, like people on the internet said it was still there.
Oh, well then it's got to be
it's
true.
I think it's been there, not been there, been stronger, not as strong. So you've probably been on it more recently than me, but I'm going with Rome burning on Spaceship Earth because I think, like what you said earlier about Journey into Imagination, Spaceship Earth is destined to be refurbished sometime, I would think in the nearer future than the distant future. We don't know what we might lose there. Rome burning could be something that doesn't make it. And you say it and everyone knows what it is. Like, you can smell it in your head. And also, it's just like everyone knows it in the Disney context, but this is a smell that we smell in everyday life and we don't care. Like, it's not extraordinary. It doesn't mean anything outside of here, although sometimes you'll be like, oh, that smells like Rome burning. Like, it comes to mind and that's what you think of. And so I think to put it in the time capsule, it honors like every version of Spaceship Earth up to this point. And if it doesn't exist anymore, then you can remember the time when it was there. And if it does still exist, it honors the staying power of wood burning.
I love that. I love that answer because I love that scent. It's so powerful and it instantly connects you. You know exactly where you are on that attraction and that scene, and all the visuals come back. And I do hope Rome continues to burn like forever and ever 50 years from now. So for me, I was like, something came to mind. I was like, this is it. This is the scent. And I'm like, all right, step back for a second, Mangello. Let this like percolate a little bit. Do you want something that is manufactured? Do you want something that is pushed out through a smellitor? Is it like, the vanilla and sugar from the Main Street Bakery? Do you want something that just exists like in nature? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. You are going to go back to where it all began, because I still remember, Kendall Foreman. I mean, it's got to be very close to when I first started the show. I had this idea, we're going to do our top 10 smells. And I'm like, I don't know, man, this could go horribly wrong. And I wrote down in my notes, I wrote musty water smell. And I remember sitting in my little office, which was the extra bedroom in my little house in Scotch Plains, New Jersey. And I'm like, Lou, nobody is going to understand what the heck you are talking about. And I was completely wrong. Everybody's like, I get it. You're like, this is, and it is the musty water smell in Pirates. It's got to be on Pirates, because you can smell a little bit other places, but that it is so attraction specific and briny and transportive and unchanged. Like, your body remembers it like before your brain sort of catches up to what is going on. And I think that combination of the scent and the water and the air and the damp stone and that environment, it all comes together in this incredible multi-sensory experience. And I think, like Rome Burning, when we smell it again, right? Because again, it's got that connection to memory. Like, that one smell of it can instantly bring you back to a memory that you had with your parents, your friends, your kids, whatever it might be. And even sometimes individual moments. So for me, it has no other choice but to be the musty water smell in Pirates. I don't know how we're going to put these smells in there. The logistics of it is not really important. It's it could be a candle. It could be like a little like scented oil or something. So, all right, we're talking about the sights and smells, and we have to go with the sound. Now, this is not music. This is a sound, and this is the one noise, for lack of a better word, that says Walt Disney World with your eyes closed.
I think because I'm going with the now, and there's lots of them you could pick. I'm gonna pull what you do. You could pick the wolf howl from the Polynesian. You could pick the honk honk, of the streetcars on Main Street. The train whistle from across the lagoon. But I'm gonna go with the Magic Band touch point chime. And this is another one that I mentioned to my husband, and he said, well, that sounds always a good thing. He's like, you hear it and it means I'm going into the park. Like, he's like, there's no negative association with that sound. It always means a good thing. It either means I'm getting into a great Walt Disney World park, or I'm getting onto a ride faster if you use it for Lightning Lane. But there's no negative memories associated with it, and it's something that I'm sure in the future that sound may not be a part of your entrance anymore, or they'll change the sound, or or something. And so I think it's a snapshot of now and the technology that existed and the sound that means a lot to a lot of people.
That's an awesome answer. That is a really good answer. I like that a lot. I did not have as much problem and difficulty answering this one as I did others. There were a couple of things that came to mind. I'm like, no, it could be, for me, it was unquestionably, like, not even, I didn't even bother writing down any other potential honorable mentions. Please stand clear of the doors. I'm not going to bother with the Spanish. It is eternal. It is iconic. It is currently still playing. There's been rumors for years of the monorail. I mean, 50 years from now, we are not going to have, I doubt we'll have the same Mark 7 monorails still going around those beams. But it's just incredible how this simple, practical safety announcement is one of the most recognizable and beloved sounds in Walt Disney World. It introduced people to the Spanish language, like, at a very young age. Like, for some people, that's the only, And I think it also shows like transportation becoming part of the attraction, becoming part of the overall experience. Like I remember as a kid, I would ride the monorail not as a conveyance or trying to get from point A to point B. I rode it as an attraction. Way back when you used to be able to ride in the front. I remember as a kid, we were staying at the Contemporary and the parks were closed. And my parents, there's one thing that at Disney you could always say. It was like, yeah, just go do your thing. I just remember riding in the front of the monorail like for hours. Poor monorail driver. I'm so sorry. But I just loved that experience. I just loved being, and I loved that sound. I used to love the sound, which is gone now, of the manual doors, like that clunk of the manual doors closing. But
I almost picked the sound of the doors closing now.
Yeah, because there's something comforting about it. Mm-hmm. And please stand clear of the doors. I know for some of you, that's probably your ringtone or your text tone or, how you unlock your Tesla with the sound or whatever it might be. But we all know, please stand clear of the doors. And it was unquestionable for me. But all good things and all good trips have to come to an end. And sometimes when we leave, we want to take a piece of, not literally, but we want to take a piece of Walt Disney World home with us. What is one souvenir that you carry home? Like, what is there one souvenir that's going in?
This is my crazy pick. This is my toothbrush in the box, like what you referenced before. I do not own one of these, but I'm going with the adult size Figment Ugly Christmas sweater. Because I think that when Figment showed up in that little sweater, it was a spectacular little addition. Figgy's celebrating Christmas. Like, I like seeing it every year when they change him out and someone has a picture online of Figment in his jaunty little sweater. And and people like right away were like, I want to be able to own the sweater. And then like it was hyped online, which is such a thing that happens now. And so then the sweater became available for people to buy, and like crazy people wear this sweater when it's still like 70 some degrees out at Christmas time. Like, and he's real snappy with his little quarter zip, his blue and white, and maybe at some point in the future the pavilion logos won't be as well known, or maybe the Imagination logo won't exist at all, and it'll be like you pull it out of the time capsule, it's like, what is this? What is this logo? We have to figure out what this thing is. So this is my mystery in the box.
I like that. I like that because it's so not, I think, what probably anybody else would think. Because when you started saying something, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where she's going. Because you were talking about like clothing that's now, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a Spirit jersey, or maybe it's going to be like a lounge fly, because those are sort of like the merch language of right now, right? It very much dates. Like if you open up like, oh, Spirit jersey, 2024, 2026, clearly this is the era that it's going to be. Then I'm like, oh, well, you just put Mickey ears in there. And I'm like, no, yes, it's universally recognizable, but, and it's a symbol of Disney, but I don't think it necessarily represents right now. Then I was like, I was thinking like immediately right now, like what's sort of like the hot thing? And I was like, oh, it's very simple. Just put in a Lorcana card or a pin from a pin drop release day, because people are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man. It is a wild time. If you could insert just a little video clip of people like running to Disney Springs for the Lorcana box and 8-hour-long lines and pin drops on Tuesdays, it would be interesting, but it's probably not what I would put in here. And I think going back to your sound, I think a Magic Band is very today, and it might not be very tomorrow, right? We see this like possibly getting phased out in other places like Disneyland, but it is, it's souvenir and current technology all in one. So when you see a Magic Band 50 years, people go, oh, remember people used to wear these things on their wrist, and it's how they would get in, and they used to love that sound. So I think it very much is an interesting snapshot of time from a historical perspective. If somebody were to open this 50 years from now, because I have to imagine Magic Bands in this current form will not be used. And it might be that novelty piece of tech, like, oh, floppy disks, how cute. Yeah. Oh, a phone with a cord, how cute. Oh, they used to wear things on their wrists. It like, it might just be using biometric technology and we just sort of walk in the gates or whatever. We're just implanted a chip in the back of our heads and just walk into Disney. So I think for me, it is a Magic Band Plus specifically.
What would be on the Magic Band?
I think it should be something that it's got to be like the current Walt Disney World logo. I think it's the current version of Walt Disney, because even the logo was changed over the years. Like the font has changed, the D has changed. So what the current logo looks like now, which they're also leaning into that very heavily, sort of with that color wash bit of merchandise, very simple, very clean, just the Walt Disney World logo. But who knows where it's going to be 50 years from now. So
almost get a 2-for-1 there.
Yeah. Nice. We keep talking about like snapshots in time. So let's think about what that snapshot would be. What's one photograph? So you have the responsibility, Kendall, of picking that one image that's going to explain this place at this time to somebody who might have never been. Like, who knows what's going to be 50 years from now, right? It's a post-apocalyptic wasteland, God forbid. And so he opens up this, what is that photo that you put in there?
Oh, well, now that gives it a lot more weight. I'm still going to go with my original answer, but man, that almost feels like you need like a helicopter shot of like the entire landscape or something to document it. Mine would be something up in the air. Last week, one day, my son and I ran across a picture. It was not mine. It was one we saw on the internet. I assumed that it was taken from a Skyway bucket because it was above the 20,000 Leagues Lagoon. And so I was pointing out to him like, well, this is this now, and this is that, and see how those buildings are the same. And so he's like, yeah, I recognize that. And oh, wow, like Dumbo was there. And so we were talking about all that. And so whenever I saw a photo, I immediately thought, I personally have never tried to take this photo myself, but a photo from the top of Tiana's, like of the whole landscape out in front and everything that you can see of that. I mean, it would have been great to take that like a few months ago when everything was still there. But even right now in this transition period, and hopefully we do actually get Villains Land. Like hopefully all the plans go through finally this time. But 50 years from now, that landscape is going to look entirely different. Just like looking back at, the picture from the 70s of what Fantasyland looked like. So I think capturing that and being able to go back and look at, what wasn't there and what is now.
Yeah, when you said something, I was like, you could actually put in a photograph of a construction wall. And I mean that like half jokingly because, look, 2026, like we are in a season of change and growth, specifically in Magic Kingdom. So you can show that like there's a lot of development, there's a lot of change that's going on. And my initial thought was what you first said was this current aerial photograph of Walt Disney World property, like show not just the parks and resorts, but the waterways and transportation and construction and all of those as yet undeveloped areas as they exist right now. You're like me, right? I love history. I love the old photographs of this property in 1969 and as it started to develop and emerge in opening years in 1971 and where it looked like and just how vastly different and huge it is. And I think future fans can see what's been built, what's been changing, what still remains untouched, and just how enormous this resort is. But that's not what I'm going to put in there. I'm going to put in a photograph of current cast members from different roles and regions and backgrounds, every face and race and color and creed, because Walt Disney World is sort of this microcosm of being a melting pot of people from around the world. And make sure you include not just the attraction hosts, but custodial and transportation and entertainment and food and beverage and horticulture and security and all of the less visible and invisible areas, because I think the buildings and the rides, it shows what Disney created, but I think the cast members show how this place functioned and how this experience truly came to life. And again, it goes back to the people making a dream a reality. And I want to make sure like we highlight and we memorialize the people that make this place so very special.
That's a very cool answer. And I think it'll kind of tie into something later too. But yeah, I really like that.
So, and I'm very curious to hear how you answer this one, because the only clue, I gave you 2 words and it was one price. And this one might sting a little bit, like one price, one real number of today. And it could be of a snack, a ticket, a churro, because I think nothing is going to shock the future as much as what things cost right now. We think about when we see how much stuff cost, decades ago. You could buy a house for like $20,000, like whatever it was. So what is your one price that you're going to show in this time capsule?
This one threw me when I saw it on the list, because at first I was like, what is he? And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess you would want to know the price of stuff. And I'm like, that's going to be depressing. I was like, I don't want to be negative. And so I remembered back to, I was like, well, what's the most shocking price story that I tell people? And it's from 2009. My husband and I went down, we stayed at the Polynesian we paid for 4 nights and got 3 for free. That was the promo that they were running. The idea of free is always shocking in Walt Disney World. So for right now, not as good as a promotion as that, but I'm going with the price of free 99 water park admission on entry day. Nice. Because, I mean, that's a great value. Like a $74 adult ticket, $68 a kid. I mean, that's a pretty big chunk of change, especially if you have a bigger family, as long as you're staying at one of the resorts. And, in the future, they may not be anything free anymore. So the fact that they were willing to do that, and I know there's definitely business sense behind that free, but, let people in the 50 years in the future know there were still free things at Walt Disney World.
That's a great answer. I really, really like that answer a lot. Because my mind went somewhere immediately, and I'm like, no, come on, get creative. Like, what about the price of a Dole Whip, or the price of a lightning lane, or the price of a bottle of water? Like, who knows how much water is going to cost 50 years from now? But I think it has to be the exact price of a one-day ticket on the date that this time capsule gets sealed. Like, whether it's a receipt, whether it's a picture of like the little boards over like the ticket booths when you enter one of the parks, because I think it's important to memorialize and record what the current price is, because it reflects so much. It's the size of the experience and inflation and accessibility and what families are being asked to invest for a single Disney day. And I think it's going to be interesting too, because think about like us now, when we look at the admission prices and literal pennies it cost to ride an attraction in 1971, like when you would buy like a $3.50 ticket to walk in the park, like imagine Twitter, like when you used to have to buy a ticket and people would be like, imagine going, if Twitter existed in 1971, it'd be like, what? I have to pay every time I want to ride something? Like they are literally nickeling and diming me to death because it cost like nickels and dimes to buy tickets. Like an A-ticket attraction was literally 10 cents if you wanted to ride the Main Street vehicles, or God forbid, like you wanted to go on the Haunted Mansion, it was like 80 cents or, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which again, and I was like, okay, let me sort of adjust these for inflation. So $3.50 in 1971 is like $29 today to enter the park. And an A ticket, which was 10 cents, is about 83 cents today. An E-ticket would be like under $7 today to go ride an attraction. But I think the same way that we look back and go, oh my God, I can't believe how inexpensive it was. 50 years from now, who knows what admission is going to look and feel and cost. And I would just sort of love to see somebody open that up and go, I can't believe they only paid insert X amount of dollars here to go to the parks for one day.
I feel like, to be really fair though, you'd almost have to like tack that to a map. Because you think about like the size of the park in 1971, and what they were trying to upkeep overhead wise and things is drastically smaller than what it is now, or the options that you have when you go in. Like, that's I always like to do that kind of math of like, okay, how much really is it per attraction? How much am I paying per attraction? That's kind of interesting to look at too.
Or they look at the map and go, wait, there was this Magic Kingdom only had this because of, think about how much more expansion, not that there's a lot of expansion room for some parks, but it'll be listen, I hope I could make it. Hopefully I make it that long to see, even 40 years. I'm curious to see how it changes. But speaking of change, nice segue, Lou, what's one piece of technology, right? What is that one piece of technology that you would put in there? Because I think this is also going to like date this park and this time capsule the fastest, which is exactly why it belongs. Like, this is your floppy disk.
I'm going to go by the letter of what you said, which was one piece of technology. So like, I'm treating the technology as one, and I'm putting multiple samples of that technology in. So my technology would be audio animatronics, and I would put in a tiki bird, and then like the shaman or Hondo Inaka, or like one of these advanced audio animatronics. So both of those, so that you can see that these two things existed in the park at the same time, at this moment in time, and people were enjoying both of them. Like, they were both relevant, and how drastically different the advancement is in those two pieces of technology, to see that this was like, this little tiki bird was still satisfying, and then we were, and then I'm sure to be able to see in the future, like, okay, Hondo or the shaman, that was the most advanced thing they had, and here's what we have now. I think that would be fascinating to see kind of that, almost that whole timeline or continuum.
Our time capsule box just got very, very large. It's a huge box all of a sudden, but I get it. And I understand.
We're fitting whole attractions in there. So,
so I think I didn't do this intentionally, but I think I lucked out by putting a magic band in earlier. This could have been a piece of technology that I put in, because I think this single piece demonstrates Disney's effort to make technology disappear into the guest experience. Like, it's just, you don't have to take out your phone, you just sort of tap and you move on, and it has all these different elements to it in terms of the interactivity and the haptic feedback and the access to your hotel room and things like that. So in lieu of that, I would put in, and I think this also serves a number of other purposes too, I would put in a current iPhone with my Disney experience installed. So you can see and get access to not just screenshots, but almost have like an offline archive of the app showing how you accessed wait times and maps and mobile ordering and lightning lane options and hotel information and photo pass and all the different plans, because now that app is not just your map and your planner and your ticket, but your room key and your wallet and your dining reservation tool and your camera and your operational dashboard for your vacation. You know, years ago we had an Excel spreadsheet or like a notepad, and now it is the My Disney Experience app, which we know and see is continually evolving and changing and iterating all the time. And I know we're about to get, another huge update to the app. But and look, not to go off on a tangent, I think the way that we interact with our devices is going to be very different 50 years from now. I think people can go, you actually have to like hold a phone and touch a screen and like have this sort of tactile interaction with this device. I think the way that we communicate and the way we receive information is just going to be very, very, very different. So I think the phone itself will be a bit of a novelty, but I think the way that we interact with the Disney parks and how this app shapes and personalizes our interactive experience is going to be very different too. I think it'll be a fascinating thing to look back on. As somebody who grew up in, I was very fortunate. I had a computer at a very, very, very young age. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for my Tandy TRS-80 from Radio Shack. I've loved watching and having the technology and seeing it evolve. And I think being able to look ahead and be able to look back and be like, oh, this is how they did it in 2026 will be fascinating.
Yeah, I definitely think it would be, just because it's fun to go back and look at like things like the Internet Archive or the Wayback Machine and see how the Walt Disney World website has changed. Like, what it looked like, how they what art stylings they chose, what they chose to include on it, like what was important at that point in time, what functionality did you have, because with the My Disney Experience app, you can see what was important to people at this point in time. Like dining is important, Lightning Lane passes are important, and that may be entirely different in the future, what people would see as most important from it, whatever type of interactive experience they're having 50 years in the future.
Yeah, look, man, when you opened up Netscape Navigator or Mozilla in a box, your website wasn't current unless you had like an animated like GIF of a little rainbow line on your web browser. So like that was like, wow, this is the future technology. People are like, God, Mangello's really old. It doesn't matter. It's fine. I also tried to think, Kendall, of what is an item that in and of itself is so representative of today and this time that when people are like, oh, this was so, like you can see things now like, oh, that was so 1986, that was so 1977, whatever. So what is the one popcorn bucket or novelty like sipper that you would put into, now that we have this gigantic, box, we can put whatever we want in there. But what is the one popcorn bucket? Because I think this might be the thing that they open up and is going to make them laugh the hardest.
Yeah, and as I hear you explain that, I'm thinking that my choice probably wasn't the best choice because what makes the popcorn bucket and the sipper such a thing right now is these like ridiculous shapes, how ridiculously big they are, the fact that like this thing's huge but you can only fit like a cup of popcorn in it, like that we're just buying it without anything in it and not even using it. I'm sorry if people do that. Like I understand wanting to keep things nice. Like I have my own version of that, or you like to keep something safe and nice and clean. But what I picked was just the classic. Like just the classic round refillable bucket, because it usually has like some type of artwork on it from whoever, like I don't want to say the most prominent, but like whatever style is most in right now as far as like the Disney fine art artists are concerned, or the people in Disney products. So like I think the one right now has artwork from Jared Mayorama on it. Mm-hmm. And it has been interesting to see how his artwork, the popularity of it has grown over the last decade. So I think just including that bucket would be interesting to see what art style was popular right now. And then also they usually feature like whatever attraction was big or whatever like little Easter egg thing was special to people at the time. And so I think like it almost would serve as like a little snapshot of all the parks, because a lot of times it includes like a lot of different characters, or it includes attractions from all the parks. So I kind of looked at it at the category as like more representative, when really you were probably aiming for like some crazy shaped character.
No, I dig that. And because I think the interesting thing, and I think the reason why this is I think it's cool to have this on the list as an individual item is because, look, popcorn's been part of Disneyland since opening day. Like if you look back at some of those old carts, and some of which are still there, like those old Creator carts that had like the little animated clown that was like turning the popcorn, and it was just served in like simple paper boxes, and it was a snack. It wasn't a collectible. Like you just ate it and you threw your box away. And it wasn't until I guess maybe like the early to mid 90s that Disney started using those plastic souvenir like pails with the little plastic handles and the park and character artwork. And it wasn't until like 2010 that they had the first fully like developed character inspired Mickey Mouse ghost popcorn bucket in 2010. That was the beginning of the end, or the beginning of this premium popcorn bucket things. And from there, it's gone from characters to balloons to trains to Cinderella's coach and the Zero from, remember the Zero one from Nightmare Before Christmas that like moved, and there's the Millennium Falcon and Hitchhiking Ghosts, and it goes on and on and on. And they're not just popcorn buckets, like they're toys and collectibles because they have lights and sounds and moving parts and strap, like you can wear it like a crossbody bag. And, there's still those returning favorites like the Mickey balloons and things like that. And now, they're a seasonal thing, and they're like the Lorcana cards, like a new popcorn bucket drops. You probably want to avoid EPCOT that day because the lines are going to be crazy. And I think that's when like the insanity got turned up to 11 was back in 2022 for Festival of the Arts, when the Figment bucket came out and people were waiting like 4, 5, 6, 8 hours for a $25 popcorn bucket. Walt would probably love hearing that, which, 5 minutes later appeared online for hundreds of dollars, and we're selling hundreds of dollars. Like Disney wasn't, but the resellers were. But Disney transformed this like simple utilitarian popcorn container into a limited edition merchandise release. Like it's part snack, it's part toy, it's part purse, it's part collectible. And then you've got that scarcity and a park exclusivity and the social media trends that make this, that like the buckets, to your point, are more popular than the popcorn that's inside. So the one that I would put in there, I was first going to be like, well, whatever one is viral the week that we're going to put this, wherever festival's going on, when we're closing up the bucket, which I think would sort of define this moment. But I think, the Figment one, the one that kicked off the phenomenon in his purest format, not the ones that people, God bless you for doing this, that took home and bedazzled and put them up on Etsy. Like, and I'm not making fun at all, because this is pure Disney fandom in its most pure, in its silliest form. And I think that's, we laugh on it and it's fun and it's funny and it's collectible, but I think that's what it's all about. And I think that's why I want to include the popcorn bucket. So for me, it's going to be Figment.
Have you ever bought a popcorn bucket? Like other than the traditional bucket?
I have not ever bought one to like, oh, I have a lot of extra shelf space. I'm going to go and wear this in the park or put it on my thing. Like I've had them before, but I am not a collector of popcorn buckets.
I was going to say, was there ever one that tempted you?
I did like the Journey to Imagination one.
I liked that one too.
And I did like Figment. I'm not going to admit, like there's, and some of the Haunted Mansion ones that I've liked, and I get excited. I'm like, oh, I should buy it. And then I'm like, okay, Mangello, like, what are you going to do with it? Where are you going to, you already have no shelf space. Like, where are you going to buy? Wait, oh, you know what? I'm a liar. I'm an accidental liar, because I just looked up and to my right, and I take everything I say back, because when I went on the Disney adventure and went into San Francisco Street, which is the place that I hardly ever left, I did end up leaving. And actually, I think they were both a gift. So technically, I didn't buy them. They were both a gift from Becky Menken, because she knows how much I love Baymax and Big Hero 6. So I not only have the Baymax popcorn bucket, but I also have the Megabot sipper. And they're up on a shelf dedicated to Baymax, and there's a piece of artwork, actually also from Becky, from the Disney Adventure of San Francisco, which I love. So there you go.
Yeah, and I like that. I was really tempted by the Carousel one that was at Disneyland, I think, earlier this year, because I really like the art styling on it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they are kind of neat. If you're not like, I would never have hundreds of them because I just don't have space for that. But I do like the idea of like, if there's one iconic attraction and you can almost use it as like a statue on your shelf or something.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you. So we were talking about this beforehand. I put one thing on the list because I sent you a list in advance. I wanted to give you time to think about it. And I was like, oh, I wish there was a way to somehow like quantify and demonstrate like one tradition, like not something you can hold. Like it's this thing that you do. It's just like ritual thing that makes a visit a visit. And I was like, well, no, you can't put that in there because it's not a thing. It's not something you can necessarily represent, and everybody's tradition is different. But in case you happen to come up with one, I did not want to sort of take that away. But I could not come up with an answer that I was satisfied that would sort of represent traditions of a lot of people other than just myself.
I came up with one, and it came from a place of like how how will technology change in the future in relation to the way that we capture our memories? And because it's a big thing for me and my family, I love having photos. I have the photo albums from the photos from my family from our very first visit in 1991. I have all of those still up through, and I still print photos from our vacations. I just recently switched over to printing photo books just because I was running out of space for all the individual photos. But I like having those, that tactile photo to pick up and look at. And so it's a big deal to me to take a family photo. We usually do we get a really good one on Main Street and a really good one somewhere at the resort that we're staying at. And so I guess that tradition, just the tradition of taking a family photo, because so many people do it. It's why we have PhotoPass photographers. And I just wonder in the future, will we still be taking, will we still be printing photos? Will we still be even taking photos in the same way? I would say decades ago, the franchise that will not be named down at Universal had moving pictures in the books and the movies. That was Wizards and that was magic. And, now we actually have that capability of taking live photos and making GIFs and keeping short form videos on our phones. Will that be the same thing 50 years in the future? Or, like you said earlier, will we just have some type of snapshot in our brains, or some kind of crazy memory where we just photo memory in our heads?
Yeah, I'm sure the people that used to go to Pleasure Island and you used to be able to record yourself singing karaoke and get a VHS tape of it, they're probably like, yeah, we're always going to do this. This is always how we're going to sing songs together. The only thing I could think of, and I know it's not a tradition for everybody, but maybe it almost kind of sort of should be, and it's a simple thing. It would just be a first visit button. Mm-hmm. I think it's a simple, easy, free thing that you get that represents so very much. So that would be mine. The one thing that I'm very curious to hear your answer for is, because this one I'm not sure if this was difficult or not. It's one thing that's endangered, and it's the one thing that you love that you can honestly look at and say, this might not be here in 50 years. It has to be here today. That's the rule, but you're putting it in the box specifically because you're not going to be sure that it's going to survive. So what is that endangered thing that you're protecting by putting that, or that memory that you're protecting by putting it in the box?
Some people might think I'm crazy, and I'm not. I don't have any inside information. I have not even heard rumors to this effect. I'm just qualifying it. But it might not be so crazy to think that It's a Small World is endangered in the future. And I said earlier, I told you that song is my heart. I love It's a Small World. I love both Disneyland's version and Walt Disney World's for different reasons. But I think because Disneyland's is the original and Disney World's is not, and Disney World's Walt Disney World's version has a big footprint in very valuable real estate, that it doesn't always command the longest lines. It doesn't always draw the most, it's not going to draw lots of lightning lane revenue. And so if things come down to business decisions, I don't want this to happen, but I think it's possible that it could go away. And so I want to save It's a Small World, because I think if you can't be childlike and innocent, and like you said earlier, it's peace, it's togetherness, it's hopefulness, I'm sorry, but that is for all generations, and it should be in every Disney park that is possible, because it's a message for everybody, and so I want to protect it.
I don't even know you anymore.
I didn't say I want it.
Kendall wants to, I'm writing this down, Kendall wants to remove It's a Small World. Richard, Robert, I'm sorry. No, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I think it's blasphemous to think that, the people that chained themselves to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride back in the 90s get those shirts and handcuffs back out, because you can't remove It's a Small World. I did not think, so I thought it much simpler than that. That would be devastating. My God, the internet would lose its collective marbles. For me, and I think we're starting to see this now, which makes me sad because these have been always things that I've collected and I've always brought home on trips. And like when I go to overseas parks, I love to get these and bring them back for friends and members of the WDW Radio Nation and stuff like that. And it's the physical park maps and the printed materials. So I would put in a complete set of 2026 park maps and guides in the capsule. And look, I get it. An app is very efficient and it's cost effective and saving trees. I'm all with it. But a paper map is not just a souvenir, like it's an artifact. It records like the geography and the branding and the language and the sponsorships and the attractions and the designs, like all in this one piece of paper, like all in this one exact moment. And I have binders and buckets full of Walt Disney World ephemera and park maps going back to 1971. If you look behind me, I have one framed on my wall because I just dig them so much. And even like when I go overseas, like sometimes I'll get ones that are in English so I can actually read them, but I'll get ones in the language of the country where the attraction is because I want to see and keep for myself that little recording of that piece in time. And because then it's fun to go back and look and be like, oh, like this is what Walt Disney World looked like in 1974. Look how different it was. Look at the clothes that they were wearing. Just look at even like the nomenclature and things like that. So without a doubt, park maps and printed materials go in our time capsule.
When you said something, like something smaller and like that you collect from different places, my brain was going to something that actually is probably really endangered that I didn't think of until right now, but pressed pennies.
Oh, yeah.
Like if pennies go away, we're not going to have pressed pennies anymore. So that's probably less triggering than It's a Small World. So like you can retract my previous statement and we'll put in pressed pennies.
No, it's too late.
It won't
now.
make people feel as bad.
Ken was like, can you just delete that whole thing about
it's a fear. It's a fear.
I get it. It is a legit look, and we've seen it. Nothing is untouchable, right? Frontierland Magic Kingdom. I'm looking at you. Nothing is untouchable. So I get it. You've heard me talk about cast members a number of times because of just how important they are. So I would also want to include one cast member story, right? I think you can't explain to the future Walt Disney World today without the people who make the magic happen. So do you have like either it's your own cast member moment or a story that you've heard that stuck with you that 50 years from now, people go, see, this is it. This is the reason why we come back and move here and love this place so much.
I do, actually. And when you said something earlier about the cast member photo and people from all different backgrounds being in the photo, and I said I'd probably come back to that. And this experience goes along with that. And I think it's very fitting for a time capsule for right now, because with COVID, there was a shutdown. And as a part of that, all of the cultural representatives had to go back to their own countries. And it took a long time for them to get to come back. And that was a loss. And like the idea that maybe they don't come back, like that would have been a serious loss for EPCOT, but especially the one I'm going to mention was over at Animal Kingdom Lodge. And I would encourage anyone, if you have not spent some time over there, like they do a string of memories project or activity at like series of presentations that you can do throughout the day, and they don't take long, and it gives you an opportunity to meet so many cast members from different backgrounds, different countries, from Uganda, Kenya, and Ethiopia, and Niger, and we met a woman named Kim she did several of the I think she was at 3 of the different presentations over the course of, we actually went and stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge just so that we could enjoy the resort for one night and do these string of memories. And the one that she did in the morning was called Flamingo Behavior. And my family was the only one there because it was first thing in the morning and most people were off at the parks. But she presented that presentation the same way that she would have if there was 25 people there versus just the 3 of us. And then when she was done, she told us about her home country, about the nature resort that she used to work at there, about the elephants that would be walking amidst the resort. And it was just a really neat experience for us to meet someone from this other part of the world, hear what her life is like, hear about her experiences working there in Central Florida, and also just to recognize that a few years prior to that, that wasn't possible, that they weren't able to be there. And so to capture, and maybe in the future that might be the case too. Who knows what might happen in the world where there may be certain countries who aren't as friendly with us, or, you know, other situations that prevent people from being able to come here and work in the parks and resorts. And so just being able to capture the fact that they were a part of the resort, an indelible, important part of it.
I love that. I love that. And I love this. I love this question and prompt because I think we all have one. I think we all have a story. I mean, there's a lot, and there's I'm going to tell two very abbreviated versions of longer stories, and I tell these a lot. So I do a lot of presentations to corporations and businesses about the Disney difference and leveraging lessons from the parks on customer service and customer experience. And two of the many stories that I tell, and I think are some of the most powerful, is one, there is a family that's walking into Magic Kingdom. There's a uniformed security guard that, as they come in, pulls them off to the side. You know, there's that tree sort of that you can sit around on the right-hand side as you're approaching the train station. And he calls the family over, and the mom and dad are like, look, what's going on? Like, hey, Johnny, what did you do? Why is security stopping us? And he goes over to the little girl who is in her Cinderella dress. And he says, you know, I've been waiting for you all day. And I still get like choked up when I tell this story. I've been waiting for you all day. And he reaches behind him, and mom and dad think like he's reaching for the handcuffs. He's like, what did you do? Like, and he pulls out an autograph book. And he goes over to the girl and he says, Cinderella, can I have your autograph? Well, like, mom and dad are crying. The little girl's like, oh my God, I can't believe it's like that memory that security guard created for that family is not only going to stick with them forever, but it's going to be the story that they go and tell and pay forward to other people. That's the reason why we go back. It's not because of the new attractions or the new popcorn bucket. It's because of those moments that we want to create or recreate and have those same feelings for our families. Like that kid is never going to forget that. She is going to tell her kids, and that story is going to be passed down generationally. And that family and the people around them are going to carry that with them, and I think become lifelong fans. And two, at Crystal Palace one morning, a family is eating. One of it's a family of four. Again, one of the kids, one of the girls, spills food all over herself, and it's just, her dress is a mess. And mom's like, all right, listen, you guys just go finish breakfast, go out to the park. I'm going to walk down Main Street, get on the monorail to go to the bus, to get to the resort, to go, and I'll see you guys in a couple hours. A cast member walks over, who is, is one of the managers, and says, here's the story, and says, come with me. Walks them down to the Emporium, goes over to the clothing section for little girls, tells the mom to pick something out, go into the dressing room and change her daughter, come back out and says, go back, finish breakfast with your family and enjoy the rest of your day. And she said, well, what do I owe you? Nothing. Just go and enjoy the rest of your day. That cast member didn't have to ask to call a manager, ask for permission, get a requisition slip, worry about, well, we only have $25 to spend. Like, that moment that they made and that time that they just brought, that she just gave back to that family, is going to have the same impact and effect. They are going to tell that story forever. That family's day was completely changed. What could have been like such a disappointing moment for all of them, for all the different reasons, was turned, like, that's what a magical moment looks like. And the fact that cast members are empowered and encouraged to do those things, like, that's it, man. Like, that's the Disney magic, because the couple of dollars that it cost Disney for that dress is going to earn them, again, the same thing, like a lifetime. And it's not about that. It's just about going above and beyond and exceeding expectations. And I think that's what cast members do and are empowered to do so very well. So again, two very somewhat quick-ish stories. Kendall, here's the last one. This is the last thing we are going to put in the box. And this is not necessarily an object. It is a message. And this is a message to future fans. This is a message to the guest or the fan who's going to open this 50 years from now in 2075, who loves this place as much as we do and never got to see the version that we're standing in right now, what do you want that person to know?
I went with a mindset, more than a string of thoughts about what currently is. And I started out with, to all who come to this happy place, welcome. And I would assume that 50 years from now, I hope that people know that Walt Disney said that at that point in time, 120 years before. And it's a simple sentence. It's 9 words, but really those are kind of the mission of every Disney park, right? That it was a happy place, that it is a happy place where we leave our strife and our fear, our concerns outside the turnstiles, outside the tap points, whatever they are in the future. And then that it's a place for all. All are welcome. And I really do think that the people who plan and maintain and serve in those parks, that's their aim. Like, I think people really truly believe that and want that. And even the ones who are just in it for the business, it's a good business plan, to welcome everyone and to make sure that they're happy. But I also think that the fulfillment of that statement isn't just dependent on them. It's dependent on us as guests. Like, is it a place where we're happy? Or are we coming irritated or stressed or embittered about something? Like, the internet loves to tear things down, and that's the truth now. I doubt in 50 years that it will be different. It might be on a different medium, but, the populace likes to tear things down. And I would say we need to choose that happy. And remember that it's a place that we go to be happy, because any day at Disney World, even without Rivers of America or Splash Mountain or Horizons or Mr. Toad or Noodles at Ohana or whatever it is that goes away for a period of time or permanently, is better than a day anywhere else. And there's so many people in and behind the parks working to make us happy, to make us feel welcome. And what are we doing as guests to make sure that we're happy and that other people are happy when they're there? Are we making cast members feel welcome at work? Are we making first-time guests riding beside us who love whatever character and whatever IP happy and feel welcome? Like, the future of Walt Disney World and really any Disney park resides not only with the decision makers, but with us. And how happy the place is, if it's kind of dependent on how happy we choose to be. So my message to future fans is go to the happy place and choose to be happy, and welcome and be welcomed.
Come here and give me a hug. Come, like, Kendall Foreman, I'm like a little choked up. Listen, I'm a choose the good guy, so this totally, absolutely resonates with me, and I love that, and it's beautiful, and I dig it 1,000%. I think the choosing the good and finding good philosophy is something that we should look at, not just when it comes to Disney and changes and noodles and Ohana, whatever it might be, but in everything that we do, and it makes you, I think it makes you and the people around you overall happier. For me, I would almost start with, if you're reading this, this place made it. It lasted long enough to reach you, and I think that means that people who love this place kept on showing up and kept carrying it and care of it and passing it down. And I need you to know, we don't take that for granted. We knew, even as we were standing in it, that this is going to be somebody's good old days. And that's the same thing that we're trying to do, which is slow down and notice it and take it all in and say thank you to the person who is sweeping the street and running the attraction in 112-degree heat and double knit polyester. And, when it's your turn, put something in this metaphorical box for the people that come after you. That's the whole thing. That's how this lives on forever. And I think it really comes down to 4 P's. It's the people, because as we've said numerous times, the magic isn't in the castle or a ride or anything inside the capsule. It's about the people that created the place and the cast members who bring it to life and the people who we are fortunate enough to share it with. And it is about community and shared experiences and the people who turn this place into some place that is so very meaningful. I think too, and again, it ties into some of the things that we are putting in here, is about presence. And like, this is a reminder when you look at the phone and some of these devices, like, don't be so busy when you're here planning and photographing and posting and trying to experiencing everything like on your device that you forget to be present in the moment that is happening around you, which I think is a challenge for a lot of people who are visiting Walt Disney World and the Disney parks in this very highly connected, very phone-centric driven 2026. I think the last two P's are preservation and progress. Like, honor and remember the stories and the people who came before you, and protect the things that matter. And also don't be afraid to create something new for the people that are coming behind you and the generations that are coming next. It's Walt Disney World should not remain frozen in time. It's about respecting the history, but also continuing to move forward. And we're going to take our two letters and we're going to put them in here. And with that, we are going to seal our time capsule. That's it. One attraction, one resort, the song, the smell, this short list of things sealed in a box that are going to stand, for 5 decades for this biggest, truly the most magical place on earth. And like, it's funny, like, I wasn't sure how this conversation was going to go and how I was going to feel like before, during, and after. Like, I thought this would be like a game about the future and whoever digs up this thing in 2075 and tries to understand us. But it's not. It really is about, like, right now. It's telling somebody who's opening the castle, like, what it is, what it costs, how it worked, how it engaged the senses, and to give them a sense of why we love it so very much. And, this is not about the version that we remember in the past or that we're anticipating or waiting for in the future. It exists like right now, like today, with the smells that we talked about and the rides that just recently opened. Like, that's the gift. I think that's the gift in this exercise is choosing what goes in the box. I think makes us fall in love with what we have today and appreciate what we have today. And I, as always, Kendall, I always appreciate your thoughtfulness and your insight and your opinions and all the things that you wanted to put in the box as well.
And I appreciated the idea. This was a lot of fun. It was a challenge, but it was a fun challenge. It was reflective, getting to think about things from the past, getting to think about our current society and culture and how Disney World fits into that, and to contemplate what the future might be like, what Disney World might look like in 10, 20, 40, 50 years. I think it's going to be really different.
Yeah, look, Walt said it. We spent an hour plus proving that this place is never finished. And no day is ever going to come back exactly like this. So make sure you notice it and appreciate while you are still in it. We built our time capsule. Now we want to invite you to build yours or add some to ours. Because I think your voice and your thoughts and your items belong in this too. So let me know what else you would put in our time capsule. There's a few different ways you can do it. One, be part of the show. Call the voicemail at 407-900-9391. It's 407-900-WDW1. Leave me a voicemail and I will play it on the show, and tell me the one thing you would put in the time capsule to represent today. Just one. Like, make it count. And I will play some of your answers on a future show. I'll also post this question over in the clubhouse at wdwradio.com/clubhouse. And as always, keep in mind and remember, and I'm going to keep on using this quote and this line from this attraction anytime I can, there is always a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, but there's only one today. And right now is the time. Now is the best time to enjoy this very, very magical place. Kendall Foreman, I love and appreciate you so very much. I promise there will not be such a long gap of time between this show and the next one that we do.
I'm looking forward to it.
you go to Walt Disney World right now and eat one thing, what is it?
I love a cheese Danish, or maybe a crepe, or a croissant, or a Dole Whip. I mean, it's really hot out.
It might as well, yeah. It might as well
Whip.
be the Dole Whip, yeah, to honor our time capsule. Maybe I'll do that. I'll have to do I'll do a meet of the month at the Dole Whip stand in honor of our time capsule.
That would be great. I maybe could be there. I'm coming down soon.
Oh, we're going to have to make that happen.
Yeah, you have to hold it over until I get there.
Thanks again.
Absolutely.
That's going to do it for this week's show. Before I go, thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me, for caring about this place the way you do, and for being the reason that this show has been able to go for more than 20 years. I don't take a second of that or your time for granted. A couple of quick things. No trivia this week. That is on purpose. I really want the focus to stay right where it belongs, which is on the time capsule and your answers. So pick whatever question grabbed you the most. Call the voicemail at 407-900-9391. Let me know what you'd put in a box. I'll play it on a future show. A couple of quick event reminders. Don't forget that our Haunt and Heroes event in Disneyland is going to be October 27th and 28th with an Oogie Boogie Bash VIP experience with our own private lounge and a private breakfast inside Disney California Adventure before the park opens, and a few surprises, of course. Both are limited and they are filling up fast. And also don't forget about our WDW Radio Cruise to Alaska in May 2027. You can learn more about these events and everything else by going to wdwradio.com/events. And my Momentum Weekend Workshop in Walt Disney World for creators and solopreneurs is down to fewer than 15 seats. You can learn more over at LouMongello.com. And don't forget that if you are going to D23, the Ultimate Disney Fan Experience, in just a few weeks, WDW Radio is going to be back on the show floor again. So please come by and say hello. We're going to have giveaways, prizes, a few surprises, interviews, and a lot more. I'll have more to share on that in the coming weeks. I hope to see you on the live show this Wednesday night or right back here again next week. Again, thank you so much. Always remember to be kind, choose the good, and always keep moving forward. If there's ever anything I can do for you, please reach out and let me know. So until next time, I love and appreciate you. Thanks again. See ya.
Well, it sounds pretty good. In fact, that's just the right spirit.
We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because it hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3CGM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms and readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.